Would that be a bad day if something taps something else, or would it be all right?
Would it be a bad day if you hit another plane?
Yeah, it would. It'd be a bad day if I come within a half mile of another plane. Hi everyone, Mike Sievert here. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Sidekicks Conversations. We're coming to you from the Sidekicks pub here at T-Mobile's Bellevue headquarters. It's Seafair Week here in Seattle, and that means one thing. The Blue Angels are in town. So today, I am so excited to be joined by U.S. Navy Lieutenant Christopher Kapuschansky, decorated naval aviator and member of the Blue Angels, the U.S. Navy's world-famous flight demonstration squadron. Chris joined the Blue Angels in 2021 amidst an obviously very successful career as a naval aviator and after graduating from the U.S. Naval Academy back in 2012. T-Mobile has a long history of admiring and supporting military personnel and their families, from special pricing for service members through our widely adopted Magenta Military Plan, to community programs, to employment opportunities. In fact, based on the successful careers of former military members here at T-Mobile, we're in the middle of a multi-year program to hire 10,000 veterans and their spouses. I am so excited to have Chris and some of his colleagues here at T-Mobile's headquarters, so welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
I heard it's your first time in Seattle.
It sure is.
What do you think so far?
It's gorgeous. Flying in here, it was remarkable. You know, I mean, seeing Mount Rainier over there is just amazing.
And you guys start your practices tomorrow, but I know you've looked at the route. What do you think of the route here in Seattle and the setup?
It looks like a remarkable show site. You know, you're just surrounded by all the land in the bay, and just right over water makes it even cooler, because then get to take things a little bit lower and make it seem a lot cooler. But
I don't know what it is. I know everywhere you go, the visits of the Blue Angels are special to those communities, but there's something about the Seattle community. As I said in my remarks, it's special here. This week means the Blue Angels. It means a lot of things, but thousands and thousands of people watching you work. It must be a pretty neat feeling.
It's very humbling everywhere you go, because we travel all over the place. We get to see every part of America, places that I've never been, like Seattle. And it's just cool to see the life of each individual city and community that we go to, and just get to kind of reach out and kind of be a part of that.
Tell us about your story. How'd you get into all this? I mean, what made you interested in the Navy? What made you interested in aviation?
So when I was a kid, my dad was in the Navy. He just recently retired, but he brought me to an air show when we were in Newport, Rhode Island. And I got to see the Blue Angels for the very first time. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. But all I knew was ships. So when I found out about aviation, I thought it was really neat. And from there, my dad said, well, let me show you a little bit more. And he brought me to an Army-Navy game in Philadelphia. And I said, oh, I want to do that. I want to go to the Naval Academy.
So he was indoctrinating you the entire time.
He kind of showed me, he kind of gave me the options. Believe it or not, during high school, when I started this application process to go to the academy, he's like, do you really want to go there? Do you really want to go there? Or, do you want to pursue a different way? Do you want to do RTC or maybe the OCS and kind of explore life through college? And I was set. I was set in my ways,
Not just on Navy, but on aviation by that point?
On just going to the academy and trying to do naval aviation. And it wasn't the easiest route. It wasn't completely easy for me. I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but I worked at it. And I got a.
But I've heard they don't make it easy on anybody.
No. Somehow I got an aviation slot, and I ended up going down to flight school. And I went to fly Super Hornets out of Virginia Beach for about 6 years, and then went back as an instructor. And
did you picture that you might wind up as a Blue Angel when you entered naval aviation? Because obviously it's a very small number of people that wind up doing that kind of work.
I always thought it would be cool to do. I never actually saw myself being here. I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to, find my way into this spot.
Now, I am sort of an expert on naval aviation because I watched both Top Gun movies.
Right, yeah, I'm just getting into this.
So I'm just going to throw that out there. And because of my expertise, I know that everybody's got a call sign.
Oh, here we go.
And I know your call sign.
Yeah.
So tell us your call sign, but also we need to know your call sign's origin story.
So my call sign is cheese. It's a shortened version of cup of cheese. And I wish it was a super funny story, but it's really not. I showed up to my first squadron on deployment at the Jolly Rogers. We were on deployment on the Truman in 2016. And there was this guy from the boonies of Western Virginia. His call sign was Tickle. And him and this other guy, Humpty, they're like, hey, who are we getting? Oh, we're getting this guy. His last name's Kapuschansky. And a couple of my friends were in the squadron. They knew me.
Yeah.
I said, what's his name? Get Kapuschansky. Cup of cheese? Cup of cheese? And no kidding, before I even walked through the door.
That's it. Your future was sealed.
It stuck.
What is it about flying? I mean, most of our viewers know that I'm a pilot. When you are inches from another aircraft, you're not just relying on your competence up there, you're relying on everyone else's competence. And that takes a level of trust, that takes a level of team. How do you achieve that as a team in any squadron, but in particular in the Blue Angels?
So yeah, trust is huge. We base everything we do on trust, and we start from ground zero. You know, once we get a new team, about 50% of the flight suits, you know, all the officers rotate out every year. So you think about it, that's quite a bit. Yeah. So that's a lot of trust they got to rebuild. So what we do is we kind of isolate ourselves for about 10 weeks, and
every time there's a changeover?
Every year.
Yeah, every year.
We build that trust. You know, we start off relatively far away in regards to what we're doing now, and then we slowly bring it in based on that trust factor. You know, and everything's kind of based on a cadence as well as, you know, what's the kind of the feel of the aircraft and what everybody else is also doing. So when you look at different maneuvers, so for the Diamond, two of our biggest ones that we talk about is the Diamond 360, which is that diamond formation. We're really, really close, where you have Scott, who's number 3, on the left wing. He's actually tucked up, kind of based off of parallax, right? Little cheat code here. I know you're gonna ask me about secrets later, but cheat code it's all based on parallax. So where you're looking at us, Scott is actually tucked not just underneath his wingtip, but no kidding, underneath the Y. Yeah. Where it says U.S. Navy underneath Boss's wingtip, which is probably like, you know, maybe like actually past you. So he's really tucked up under there. And Frank, our number 4, he's essentially tucked up in that same spot under me. And if anybody has any movement, the bow wave from that aircraft.
And you can't see him anymore at that point. Right.
No, I'm looking off of just one little letter on Boss, and I'm just trying not to move whatsoever. Yeah. So nobody's trying to move.
Here at T-Mobile, I mentioned in my upfront remarks, you know, we're in the middle of hiring 10,000 veterans and their spouses. And we're doing it because our experience is that veterans are so successful. Why do you suppose that is? Why, you know, what is it about a career in the Navy in particular, or in the military in general, that prepares people so well for success if they decide to do something else later?
Well, I think, for me, I think it's, you know, when people rely on you, you don't want to let them down, you know? So you have that going in game plan of like, I want to do the best I can, because I don't want to be that little link in the chain that's going to break something. If you surround yourself with people who are successful, you're going to want to be successful, right? Or if you're in a group of people who maybe aren't, and then you show them that little spark, they can then start running with it.
What is it people don't know? What are the secrets? Tell me one of the secrets. Break some news here on Sidekicks Conversation. What do people not know about life as a Blue Angel, or about what goes on behind the scenes?
I'll give you a few things that people ask us a lot. Do we fly our own jets to wherever we're going? The answer is yes. And do we have a B team? The answer is no. There's 7 pilots, one of which is a narrator. There's 6 of us, and we all fly the jets to where we're going to go. We do the demonstration, and if, let's say, somebody can't do it for that day, nobody fills in. It's just 5.
You guys bump into each other in the air, right? Once in a while, wing bumps in. What happens when that?
We don't.
You just don't.
No.
It's incredible.
Yeah. No, we have all these safety
would that be a bad
measurements.
day if something taps something else, or would it be all right?
Would it be a bad day if you hit another plane?
Yeah, it would. It'd be a bad day if I come within a half mile of another plane. That's what's so interesting.
It's the fear of what you can't see, right?
Yeah. And here we have Lake Washington, so you can come nice and low, and can't wait to see the show this weekend. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
We have a tradition here at T-Mobile of challenge coins. Would it be okay if I present you with one?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Lieutenant, on behalf of the employees and the management and the shareholders of T-Mobile, thank you for your service to our grateful nation. And thanks for making time for us this week on Seafair Week.
Thank you so much for this.
Appreciate it, Chris.
It was awesome.
Cheers. And that is Sidekicks Conversations for today. I'm glad you joined us, and we'll see you next time, everybody. Cheers.